name is Kenny. I'm a trainer at Vinyl Pro, and we're going to go over and do some leather repairs. We're going to do a hole that's all the way through into the foam. We're going to repair the foam, do the repair. We have scratches or cracks in leather, which is famous on older seats. I can't really duplicate that. I don't have one to do, but it's you're going to fill these with your leather filler. And then you're going to have wear, which is primarily on a bolster on an automotive seat. And you have naked leather. And of course, leather has paint on it, the color on it. So nothing will stick to the naked leather unless you prime it. So we're going to prime in this and then go to the filler, because they're going to air dry while we do the hole. So, safety glasses on. Now, leather, you need to sand the surface because there's a clear coat on there. You need to break the clear coat. You don't have to sand it really hard, but just enough to let your clear show up on your sandpaper. So we're going to clear it first. Sand it first. And you can see it when you sand it. And when you sand, you're going to use like a 400 or a 600 grit. You don't need to sand it hard. You need to scuff it right above your repair, okay? And especially your cuts. And when you use your filler that we're going to use on this repair, the filler is only there to fill. If there's a hole or a cut all the way through, the filler is not going to be strong enough to hold the repair together. So the filler is just used to fill. And it's an air dry product. And then on the wear, we're going to sand this and make sure we don't have any burrs, any rough spots, because all we're going to do is seal this and paint it. So we're going to sand over this, make sure it's smooth. Okay. And we need to remove all of the sand dust and clean the repair. So we're going to clean this. So first we're going to use a waterborne cleaner, XXX again. Spray your rag. Get in free cloth. Okay. Wipe. Now, usually when you use this is a waterborne cleaner, so leather is susceptible to getting wet. So if you notice, that's not light anymore because it's wet from the waterborne cleaner. So we're going to have to use a hair dryer to accelerate the drying process. So I'm going to use the hair dryer. And you can see it immediately start to get light, and you'll see this get light in a minute also. It should be dry enough. So now we can start the air dry repair process. Okay, first of all, when you have repairs on a vehicle or anywhere and you have an air dry product you're going to use, start those first so that if you have another defect that you're going to fix, the air dry can be drying on its own. Okay, so first we're going to do the wear. On the wear, you're going to use Pro 1, and this is really simple. All you have to do is get the seal in. It says right on the side, it says sealer primer. You can put it on your finger, you can put it on a palette knife, however you want to do it. Just take your drops, pat it in. Don't get carried away with it, you just want to get it in the leather. because the paint will not stick to naked leather. Okay, just make sure you try to keep it in the defect area. Get some out, just dab it and taper it. And don't get cute with it because it will start to get stringy. So as soon as it gets tacky, stop. And let it air dry. You can accelerate it with the hair dryer, but we're not going to do it because you're not going to be able to hear me. Okay, now that's your primer for your wear. Next, we're going to do the cracks or light cuts. This we're going to use a leather filler, and it's air dry. It's easy leather fill. And there's quite a few of these, but this is one I'm going to choose to do the repair. This one, you're just going to spread your leather filler in it, just like you normally would with any other compound. I'm going to start down here. You want to make sure that you get this filler in the defect area, or the defects, in the cracks. If you have a piece of leather that's sticking up, you want to make sure you get that underneath that before you make your final wipe. So make your wipe. Okay, if you didn't cover it, it's okay. Do it again. Because it's not cured yet, so it'll be just fine. All right, now make sure you taper your edges if you have any. And then make sure you make a nice wipe on it. And make sure your cuts or cracks are filled. Okay. Now you can also dry this with the hair dryer to accelerate the drying time. But we're going to start on a heat cure product. Now, this will be similar to our vinyl repair. First of all, we're going to fix our foam. So get your foam, cut out your piece. Okay. Test fit it. Okay. Make sure it fits in there. Okay. At some point, make sure your foam's not glued to your leather, which usually it won't be, but just check to make sure. Okay. Now, we're going to glue our foam in. Just take your glue gun, go all the way to the bottom of the repair. Okay. Don't get glue on the top. It's hard to get off. Okay. Now, you want to cut your backing paper. It's going to be your base, as it was in your vinyl repair and in your other repairs. Fabric is also the same way. You want to make sure it's 1/8 of an inch larger than your defect. Again, if you don't know where the center is, you can put a dot in there. Slide it in. If you need to, you can take your palette knife and lift it up and slide it in if you want. You can use 2 hands, it doesn't matter. You can pick up your leather, slide it in. Okay, make sure it's in. The dot was a little bit off, but I know it's centered. Okay, now you want to make your wipes. We're going to use leather repair compound number 3. There's also many of these that you can use for your leather. We're going to use this one today. Make your wipe. Check it. Make sure it's in there. Heat gun. Now, when you make your wipe, you want to make sure you keep it really small on your leather, actually for all of them. If you get any excess outside, you can take your finger and remove it. You can take a rag and remove it. Make sure you keep it small. Grain pad. Find your grain pad that matches your material you're working on. Sometimes you may want to make it more aggressive than what you're working on. Just make sure you leave a grain pattern in your repair. Seconds. And your leather's going to be a lot tougher than your vinyl, so you don't have to worry about chill bar, cold bar, because it's not going to swell up like leather, and it's not susceptible to heat. If you want to use it, it's fine. You can take some heat out of it, it's good to go. Now, first layer, it's pretty good. Got good grain in it. But I'm going to need to make 1 or 2 more layers on it. Okay. Right. You notice that this compound cures clear also. Make sure it's clearing up and you cure it. It's going to go. This is going to go dull and shiny. Grain pad ready. Sure, keep it small. Make sure you have grain in the outer part here. No lips, no edges. Okay. One more wipe and I think I'm done. No edges. Okay. Gold. Going to shiny. Remember, you must make your impression when it's a liquid. Most of the leather compounds, you're not going to be able to reheat the compound and put grain in it. You need to get it when you first make your heat application. Okay. And that's going to be it. So there we have it. Kept it small. You want to make sure it stays smaller than your grain pad. Okay. Make sure you don't have any residue outside of it. Okay. Make sure you have grain inside of your repair. If not, you can attempt to give it some more heat if you don't think it has enough grain. Good. All right, now we started the air dry before, so we give them time to dry while we're doing our other repairs. The heat dry doesn't take long. Heat cure actually doesn't take long. So now we have our sealer that we used on our wear. Excuse me. We just want to scuff that, and then we have our filler. We just used to fill our cracks or cuts, and it's not dry yet. I'm going to take the hair dryer and accelerate the dry time. Accelerate a little bit more with the hair dryer. should be enough. Now we can scuff it, let it cool off a little bit. .400, 600, really light grit paper. And you want to scuff any marks out of this thing that you might have. Make sure it's nice and smooth, because we can apply texture to this before we shoot it. Okay. Don't sand through, because you put it on there to seal it now. We're going to sand our filler. If you have any white marks from your palette knife, make sure you get rid of your edges. And make sure it's dry, because if you don't, the filler will curl up under your sandpaper. And if you have to put on a second coat of the filler, make sure your first coat is dry. And then make sure your second coat is dry. Okay, now we've got a bunch of dust on it. We need to remove that dust and make sure it's clean. So we're going to take our solvent cleaner. Make sure we get rid of all that so our paint will stick nice. Now before we shoot our air dry products, they're both flat because we sanded them. There's no texture in those. So leather usually has a fine texture anyway, so you can use the leather spray grain as it is in the bottle. If it's too thick to go through your applicator, you can put just a little bit of water, maybe 5 or 10%, so it will go through your sprayer. So I'm going to use a pre-valve. All I'm going to do is take the top off. And what you want to do, the sprays and droplets hit your defect or your repair area. Have your hair dryer handy so you can dry those droplets to give you some texture, okay? It's going to be a real fine texture. You can let it air dry on its own, but it's going to be a nice lumpy smooth texture. But you know, you want some grain to it, so dry it as soon as you can. So I'm just going to take the top off, do a test spray with my pre-valve, make sure it's clean. Test dry. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray it on from a distance. The droplets are going to hit. You're not trying to paint it. You just want droplets to hit. Because you're trying to create texture. Okay, first coat. That's dry. You take another coat. You create your own texture, okay? Look at it from this side. when you use the spray grain, it's not going to match the original surface, but you had to sand it, there's no grain there. It's going to be a real fine grain, so you must have grain in a repair before you shoot it, because if you don't, it's going to be shiny, it's going to be seen from a mile away. So make sure you put spray grain on it. And water base makes it so it's safe. You can shoot right over top of it, because you know, the water base doesn't have any contaminants in it, so it doesn't affect your spray coat. But I don't know if you can see it from here, but it's did pretty well. And there you have it. Those are your 3 repairs on your leather.